Everybody, welcome to the panel called Getting Noticed Fast. We're one of the first panels today on Sunday, so welcome to Affiliate Summit. And before I introduce everybody, I'll introduce everyone, and then I'm gonna ask you guys a question. So, and they'll spend some time introducing themselves and saying who they are a little bit more. So we have Stephanie Lichtenstein from Andy Rodriguez Consulting, and then Jen Goody from, is it J Good Design?
J Goody Designs.
J Goody Designs. Mike Bichelle from MikeBichelle.com, and Trisha Lynn Favre from the Paulson Management Group. And I want to ask, how many of you guys are new, and this is either your first or second time coming to Affiliate Summit?
Wow.
So a lot of people. So how many of you that are new had heard of these four folks before you came to the show, or before you decided to come to this panel?
like two.
Okay, just a couple. Well, I think you'd probably be surprised to know that 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, these folks were you folks. They were sitting out there, and most people didn't really know who they were. And now I would say that if you ask people who've been in the business for a while if they know them, they all do. And there's a reason that they got noticed really fast. So we're going to have them introduce themselves, tell you a little about themselves, and then give you some tips on how you can get noticed fast. So we'll start with Stephanie.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Lichtenstein. Some of you may know me as Steph Arc. That's because I work with Andy Rodriguez Consulting. I've been in the industry, I would say, for about 2 years now. And the way that I've gotten noticed fast, I would say, is by getting connected with the right people. So we're definitely going to share some tips with you guys, and I think it's really good that almost all of you in here are newbies. We were definitely you guys a couple years ago, and it's not hard to get to know people when you're, very open-minded and willing to talk to people. So thank you for coming.
Hi, I'm Jen Goody, and I am here more as an illustrator as opposed to the affiliate marketing space, but I got into affiliate marketing to learn more about the marketing angle, because marketing it's pretty similar across all platforms when you're dealing with online marketing. So I have used my illustrative background to get noticed and used that as more of a jump board to get into the space and have people recognize me and continue to recognize where I am and what I'm doing. So I'm hoping to share some of that with you.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike Bichelle. MikeBichelle.com is actually my new blog. I just launched it about a week ago. I've been seriously an affiliate for about 2 years or so. I've been in online marketing since like '99. I used to work for DoubleClick. I know a lot about ad serving. I'm all about networking, really, just meeting people, meeting the right people, sharing ideas, and I believe the more people in this industry that get together and help each other, the whole industry is going to, like what's that thing of rising tide lifts all boats? That's something that I believe in. So 2 years ago, I don't think I was any of you. No, I've been like I said, I've been around a while. I've been in online marketing, serious affiliate. I love this space. I love the people in this space, and I hope you get something out of it. It's a fun industry to be in.
I'm Trisha Lynn Favre. I've been in the industry for going on 3 years, but really only dove into it about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And I've really taken the angle of blogging and participating in the social media, social networking sites, blog space, Twitter, things like that, to really get noticed and rise above the crowd, so to speak, in terms of making sure that people knew that I could help them. So that's basically what I've done, and really hope you guys get something out of this.
Okay, well, since you brought up social networking, why don't we just sort of start off with that and talk a little bit about, all right, how do I make this thing work? I'm so technically challenged. Okay.
Or press enter on the keyboard. There you go.
Ah, there we go.
Nice.
I didn't even touch anything on that one. So there's a lot of different social networking sites and a lot of ways you can get involved in the conversation. So why don't we start with Trisha, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about some of these things that you do, and maybe particularly blogging or Twitter.
Sure. So basically, one of the most important things when you are participating in these social networks is to just be yourself and be a real human being. If you go out there and start, with a persona or with, some wacky morning radio show kind of outlook on it, then it's not really going to work out for you, because there's going to be a higher percentage of people that are turned off to that, especially if you go and you just start marketing to them right away. Social networking is really like a party. You go up to somebody, you say, "Hi, how are you? My name is Trisha." Talk a little bit about what you do, but you don't give them the hard sell right away. You don't walk up to somebody at a party and say, "Hi, I have widgets to sell. Would you like to buy some?" So just being sincere in social networking has really helped me and helped everybody up here, because we all can just talk to people as ourselves. And natural conversation comes around to, what do you do? What do you market? That it gets around to business. So with social networking, the great part about it is that you can do it from anywhere and you can connect with people everywhere. So none of us live in the same state. Oh, okay, well, Lisa lives in the same state as I do, but otherwise, we're all over the country. So it's an ample opportunity to get in there and participate in sites like LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook, and get to know people that are in a different part of the country that do the same thing that you do, and you can learn from each other. And there's a great learning opportunity there to learn from people who have a little more experience than you do, or to help people that aren't as experienced as you are, and that will come around to you.
Yeah, just crank out good content. I mean, I'm all over Twitter, and I have it connected to my Facebook status, so I get that as well. One thing I will say, I do have my own Twitter account is my own personal stuff. I do a lot of business through that as well. I talk a lot about sports because I love sports. And I just engage with people who keep on coming back. Who's on Twitter? Yeah.
There you
Awesome.
go.
No, okay. So you know what I'm talking about. Good. One thing I will add, though, I do have other sites that I put a Twitter account on. So sometimes it is me speaking from that, but sometimes it's somebody else who writes on the site, or I might auto-generate a blog post through there, just to keep it. And they're niche, too. So I'm not just throwing anything out there. Anybody following one of those Twitter accounts is going to get very specialized content. And that gets noticed, and people follow you there. Another thing I'll say, if anyone's doing like the auto DMs with the links, they drive me nuts.
Yeah, don't do that.
If you get
They're
those
bad.
things, they don't work.
They're very, very bad.
So if you follow somebody and all of a sudden you get an auto follow back, and the next thing you know, you get a DM with a link on it. I never click on them.
That's part of being sincere. You have to be yourself. So if you have, I'm not saying that you should never auto-schedule a tweet. Sometimes that's the best thing to do, but try not to do it too much, because if everything that you're tweeting is from sponsored tweets or Magpie or a link from some service, I'm reading this and this, it's really going to turn off your followers. I mean, speaking specifically about Twitter.
Another aspect about getting involved in the conversation, from my perspective, whether you're specifically online marketing, a service, a product, whatever it is, get involved from the response end, not just the asking for responses end. So go to blogs that relate to what you're doing and leave comments. Go to other Twitter accounts and get involved with what they're saying. And one of the best pieces of advice that I can recall enough to kind of quote is Gary Vaynerchuk does a lot of online communication, and he has recommended go to search.twitter and search for the keywords for your business. For example, with him, it's wine, so he might search for white wine and find somebody who is speaking about it or wondering what kind of wine they're going to have for dinner, and he'll respond. Because in that space, you don't have to know people to actually have a conversation with them. By them putting it out there, you're welcome to respond to it. And you'll gain sincere followers that way because you're answering a question that they have.
Last year, for Feed From Magazine, they asked me a question, what was my favorite website? And I was like, wow, so much to pick from. And at the moment, last year, I said Facebook and Twitter were tied. now I'm completely on the Twitter side, and I also have Twitter linked to Facebook, but a lot of people don't know, outside of our industry, might not know what Twitter is yet. So there's an application that I would recommend. It's called selective Twitter status. If you look it up, you can pick which tweets you want to send to Facebook. At the end of your Twitter message, you just put the hashtag, which is #FB for Facebook, and then it'll go and it'll update your Facebook that way. You know, you might have different kind of people on your Facebook and your Twitter. But I think, you know, in probably 6 months to a year, I guess everybody, well, ever since Oprah said it, like now everybody, even my mom is like, what is this Twitter? So people are starting to catch on. They don't necessarily know how to use it. And I want to reiterate, you know, don't do auto DMs, you know, be very personal and try to respond to people. Always check your @replies, always check your messages. Don't just start sending things out, because there are going to be people that are going to ask you questions, they're going to respond to you, and that's how you start connecting. All these people on the panel, I didn't know them. Like, we would talk on Twitter, and then all of a sudden now when I came to Affiliate Summit, I would say last year, that's when I met them, I started to get to know them. But the reason they even knew who I was, and I didn't just have to blindly like say hi, they already knew me because we were friends on Twitter and we would talk about similar things that everybody was interested in. Another thing I started about a year ago, which I think made a big change and got me a lot more involved, was to start blogging. I was talking to Trisha, and we both take a lot of conference notes. Since we were newbies, we were like, you know, trying to learn so much and taking everything in. I had like all these stacks of notepads that I never shared with anyone. So I started blogging, and from there it evolved into sharing a lot more things. I talk a lot about the advertising tax, and there's a lot of things. I'm sure you guys have something that you're passionate about. It doesn't necessarily have to be just about affiliate marketing, but whatever your passion is, start a blog on WordPress. It's so easy. Like, I'm more in the sales side. I'm not very computer savvy, but WordPress is the easiest thing, and you should definitely blog about something that you're passionate about, and that's a good way to connect with people too.
I would just add on the Twitter thing that it really isn't a numbers game, so don't be discouraged if, you know, you're not the person who has 10,000 followers. It's better to have a quality group of people that you connect with and that sort of, you know, participate in your conversation than it is to just sort of have all of these random people. And it might not be appropriate for you, but I actually have it so that I have to approve people, because I don't want to have 5,000 people following me that are just like, hey, I just posted sexy pictures of myself, because that's not valuable to me.
Who's that user? I need to follow.
There's a lot of them. Yeah, I mean, that's not valuable to me. So I only have about 950 users, and I've been on Twitter for 3 years now. And that's because I don't approve everybody. But it's one of the most valuable tools I have, because almost everybody who's on there is someone that I care about. And
I'm still waiting for Lisa to approve me.
So, Steph, one of the things is I really wanted you to go a little bit deeper on the blog thing and just sort of talk about how people can, I mean, how you would recommend they find blogs that are appropriate for them. Should they do searches and then comment?
Most of the time when I find a good blog post that I like, it's actually through Twitter. I kind of think that social media, Twitter, Facebook, and all that ties into the blog. On my blog, you'll find, I always put get connected, and you'll find, you know, how to find me on Facebook, how to find me on Twitter. And then when I post something, I go on Twitter and I send it out to people. I tell them what it's about. I'm not just like, hey, you know, read my blog. It's not really about that. People that are interested in what you're saying are going to go read what you're talking about. So the way that I find blog posts that I'm interested in is by following certain people and seeing what they have to say. Now, if there's a blog that I really find very interesting, then I'll subscribe, you know, to their post, and I'll get an email, because sometimes I won't have time to be checking up on that every day. Another good way to find good blogs is if there's a blog you already like and you look at their blog roll, they might have some similar people that have good posts up there. Once you have had your blog for a while and you start adding, you know, relevant people and you start commenting on each other's blogs, you know, they'll probably ask you, you'll probably add them to your blog. One thing I want to say though is don't add someone to your blog roll and then go back and ask them to add you back. Don't do that. If they like your blog and they read your blog, they'll do that on their own.
So the next point we want to touch on is making a positive impression, and I think that's really important. All of these folks up here have made very positive impressions in a variety of different ways, and so maybe you can each talk about sort of your feelings on this area. Tricia?
Sure. One of the ways that I made a positive impression was by commenting on blogs a lot. And that led to a small speaking engagement, and where the person introduced me and said, Tricia seems to be everywhere. So we asked her to come talk to you about being everywhere. So just like Stephanie said, find those blogs that are relevant. And it doesn't, we're not necessarily talking about marketing blogs, although it's always good to keep up on the industry. If you sell pet food or pet supplies, find other pet blogs. There are plenty of them. If you sell, if you want to blog about model trains, find other model train sites and just follow them and get connected with people in your niche. And just, it'll start a conversation. They'll start to notice you. You'll start to notice them. And it'll lead to more evolved relationships that could help you with your business. It could help them with their business. It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
And I think one of the things you did really well is, even if you disagreed with someone, you were able to point it out in such a way that you weren't sort of just jumping on somebody's blog and saying, like, you suck and you don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you were very, right, don't flame people. You created an image that you were very knowledgeable, yet very courteous and professional, and I think that made you very respected and went a long way.
Right, and that's just, if you went to dinner with your new boyfriend and his parents, you're not going to chew with your mouth open. So you have to make a good first impression for everything, for friends, for networking, for business. So just remember, keep that in mind when you're on the internet at home, looking at Facebook. Just because you're an anonymous person doesn't mean that you can be a jerk. You have to, maintain that professionalism wherever you go. Don't get into flame wars on message boards. Just things like that can come around and bite you. So you just want to avoid that and make sure that the impression that people have of you is a positive one. Because if they think you're a jerk, they're not going to want to work with you.
Well, unless that's part of your persona, and that's what you want to get across. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, but I would say I'm much more into. Of course, I use social media, I use Twitter and all that, but I'm much more into meeting people face to face. So I'm old school conference guy. So one of the things that I did was to do something different for the first time that you meet somebody. I wanted to. My first affiliate summit was in Boston a few years ago. I wanted to meet Tricia. I wanted to meet Lisa, Jim Cooperl, who's the MC, and of course Sean and Missy, who run this thing. So I created these. I bought like 10 thumb drives, and I put a thank you video on it. Just say, hey, I've been following you online. Making an impression online.
Good idea.
I found their information incredibly helpful, and I just want to say thank you. So I gave out these thumb drives, and I know Sean and Jim Cooperl blogged about it. And that got more news out there, more word about me out there.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, though, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, I just gave mine to my mother and didn't even look at it.
Oh, my God.
But you know why? Because you didn't tell me that it was like I thought it was just sort of like a tchotchke, and had you told me it was a personalized thing, I would have looked at it, and I would have blogged about it. Instead, my mother hasn't.
Well, it was fine. Well,
With your phone number on it.
Yeah. Well, I got to thank people out there. People remembered me, and I got people to blog about it. So, and another way is have a unique business card. Because I know that there's a guy over there named Eric who you might want to talk to. He's got a unique one.
That's awesome.
I love his business card. One of the things I did when I came into this space, like I said, I wasn't in the affiliate marketing industry at all, and I came in beyond green. I think I was probably fluorescent green. And I wanted to make sure that everybody I met would remember me if I came back. Well, my last name is Goody, so what I did is I put together little cellophane bags that had my business card, some old school candy in it, like the little candy necklaces and things that a lot of us grew up with. And then I put a little gift tag on it that said it was a goodie bag from Jen Goody. And a number of people, I actually skipped a year of coming, and a number of people when I came back still remembered me at least as the candy girl. So I had jumped past that step of reintroducing myself for the very first time. I was reintroducing them just to get acquainted a little bit more.
Well, I haven't created unique business cards, but I do want to, I'm interested to see Eric's. I saw his in Vegas, and it had like a playing card, and there, I saw some other ones that had one of the keynote speakers, Peter Shankman, he in Vegas had a poker chip, and it just had like his Twitter and his phone number. So yeah, doing things like that to stand out and be original is gonna have you be remembered. But another good thing is just to be very positive. I always just try to smile and talk to people and be very sincere, and don't just talk about yourself. Ask them about their businesses, you know. Ask them questions, and if you've been in the industry longer and you can help them, get involved. Like Jen is putting together the mentor and mentee program. I see Kim Rowley, she's sitting over there, I think, with her mentee from last time. They're like best friends now. And Kim's been in the industry, I think, for about 10 years, and I'm sure her mentee learned a lot from her. Now they have a great relationship. So really just get to know people, smile, be positive, and don't just talk about yourself, and take some time to listen to what they have to say.
Tell the Missy story.
What story?
The Missy story.
Oh, okay. She wants me to tell. Well,
It's a good example.
I was brand new. This was I had been with ARC for, I would say, for a month. And we were going to a conference. They were leaving, and they said, well, we're going to a conference. We know you don't know a lot, but if you want to go, you know, you can definitely come with us. It's in Arizona. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely go. I had no idea about anything. I was taking so many notes, and even what they were saying, like, went over my head. Like, it just didn't make any sense. But I got there early, and I was sitting at the pool, and next to me was Missy, who obviously is the co-founder of Affiliate Summit. I had no idea who she was. And I was just sitting with her, having drinks at the pool, and we were like having a great time, getting along. She was telling me about her kids. I was telling her about, you know, a boyfriend or what have you. And I had no idea, and I wasn't intimidated at all, because that's what I love about our industry. Everyone's very, very nice. It's not, you know, it doesn't matter if they're the CEO or whoever they are. You know, you can talk to anybody, and it was really cool because I didn't know who she was. When I found out later, I was like, oh, wow. But, you know, now, and it's fine. And when I realized that our industry is different from all the other ones and everybody's like that, I always say you never know who you're talking to. They can be a t-shirt and shorts, and they make 6 figures every month. Or, you know, they're this, like, I was sitting next to this guy, and he was like a Microsoft certified, like, he was some genius, and he knew so many things. And you just never know who you're going to be next to. And, you know, don't judge a book by its cover, especially in our industry. And don't let anyone intimidate you, because there's no reason for that. Everybody's very laid back.
And everybody was once exactly where you were
Right.
at one point. But it's really, the positive impression thing is really important. I know that I used to be the editor-in-chief of Revenue Magazine, and so I always had people bombarding me, and you would sit down at lunch, and I would think like, oh, now's my time to just like ask people about themselves, and I love to hear about people because I like to know more about people. And I would sit, and some guy inevitably would be like, we have this product, and it does this, and he'd start rattling off these statistics, and I'm thinking like, dude, I just want to eat my salad. You know, now your impression is you're the guy who bugged me at lunch, as opposed to the person who told me about your dog or your airplane ride where your luggage got lost, or that your mom came with you on this trip or whatever. Like, I'm going to remember that when people, that's a positive impression when people are actually very human and very nice, as opposed to just like being in your face. So next thing is, and you guys already have touched on this a little bit, but sharing expertise. And I know, Trisha, you do a lot of you do a podcast, so why don't you start off talking about how you share?
Sure. Well, being fairly new, like Stephanie mentioned, her and I have always taken a lot of notes. I'm a note taker. That's just how I learn things. So coming to my first affiliate summit was in Miami in 2007. So just coming and taking copious amounts of notes, I learned a lot very quickly, and so it seemed criminal to keep that to myself and not share that with anybody else. So I have been able to share the expertise that I've learned on my blog. And then just this year, Mike and I started a podcast on the geekcast.fm network, Affiliate Marketing Fanatics, and we just talk about...
That's Affiliate Marketing Fanatics.
Okay.
Simmer down there. So we just talk about what's going on and our takes, and it's different because, you know, he's an affiliate and I'm an affiliate manager. So there's two sides to every coin. There's two sides to all these issues, whether or not, you know, it's good for affiliates and bad for affiliate managers, like a lot of work or, you know, things like that. So,
but it quickly becomes the Twitter show if you listen to our podcast.
I love the Twitter show.
Oh, I just want to say about Trisha, she does so much blogging and shares so many things that it's almost embarrassing for me. When I was at Revenue Magazine, we were at a conference together, and I think I hadn't had my coffee and was sitting next to her, and she was taking all these notes. I had to actually go home afterwards and search for her blog to have like a recollection when I'm the journalist of what happened. And so then every single time I needed to refer to this particular event or particular speech or these figures from this woman at Jupiter who gave this presentation, I was just like, oh, just go to Trisha Lynn's blog, you know? And so it's like that kind of thing. And also by putting it out there, people are searching for things. Every time I did a search for Jupiter and these particular statistics, you were coming up. So suddenly it's like, oh, she's the expert on this.
yeah, and you don't have to know a lot. I mean, to speak directly to that, well, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say, you don't necessarily have to be an SEO expert for that, because if you just talk about what people are naturally going to search for, then it's going to come up. I'm not an SEO expert. I know a little bit about a little bit, but, you know, like you said, just talking about it enough, it's going to start coming up, and people are going to naturally find that if that's what they're looking for. Anyone else?
Anybody else want to talk about it?
I want to talk about some podcasts that I listen to. I do listen to the Twitter show, you guys, and I really like it. Another one that I listen to, and I don't know if she's still doing it, but Missy was doing the Spew, and it's affiliate marketing, and it's mostly for women and all like geeky stuff, so I always love it. And what's interesting is when I'm listening to that, I will always get inspired and get an idea of something else that I want to go blog about. So definitely in the beginning when I started blogging, I would blog it like maybe like once a month, and it would just never happen. And then now when I listen to podcasts or when I'm hearing about certain issues, especially the advertising tax, I will go and I will blog about it. And my blog posts are not that frequent, but they are ridiculously long. So like if anyone saw my guides to Affiliate Summit, I had to break it down like, you know, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and I was going to do one for the night events. I didn't even have time, but I specifically like explained, you know, which sessions I would go to, why I would go to them, who I knew, what I thought of them, because I'm very blunt and I'll just like, you know, say it like it is, and I would just say what I thought of this person, what I thought of that person, why you should go. Definitely ask questions, okay? Try to get a mentor. It doesn't have to be through the program. Naturally, you'll start talking to people and you'll find people that you get along with. I'm not going to mention him, but my mentor was like my Google. I don't want to say that because I don't want people to try to treat him like Google, but I got him on IM, and I would ask him questions. The poor guy like would answer all my questions and was like the nicest person ever. But people will be willing to help you out. You know, I mean, obviously, don't take too much advantage of it. But if you find someone that you can become friends with that you think can help you out, they will. They'll be willing to take the time. No matter how busy they are, when they find people that are excited and they want to learn and they want to learn about the industry, they will be willing to help you. So don't be afraid to ask people questions. Someone out there will help you find the answer. And definitely, people, you guys need to blog.
And also, we have a list up here, and it says tutorials, ebooks, articles, and interviews. Now, Mike, I think you know about contributing articles and stuff like that. Have you done stuff for feed?
I did. I used to do articles. I'm a horrible blogger. I just have no schedule. Video's a lot easier for me. To completely hijack another topic, video is a lot easier for me. So I put up a video blog. and that's just easy. You can get a flip camera for like $125. Just put it on and just say what's on your mind and put it up there quick. One thing I will say, just to add on to what Stephanie was talking about, getting like a mentor or something like that. At Affiliate Summit here, you can find people you're in the same industry, you're doing the same work. Over a cocktail hour or something, find some people, ask them if they want to join like a mastermind group. Just a couple of people get together once a month or whenever, once a week if you want. Talk over Skype. If you use Skype, it's free to talk through it. It's fantastic. We record the podcast through Skype. I use it because on the mastermind group that I'm with, we're all over the country. So we try to meet like once a month and just talk about what we're working on. You can make it any way you want. We're very candid about what we're doing in our business. Because we're helping each other, and we're also finding out that we're seeing the same opportunities, which is great. That's another great way to see. I have this idea. This is what I'm thinking about, and then to hear, hey, you know what? We were thinking the same thing. So it's kind of getting the pulse on the market on what's going on, especially in your industry, if it's a good idea to go forward or not.
Yeah, and I also want to say that video is really important. I have a flip cam too, and it's so easy to use. Anybody can use it. Then you just plug it right into your computer, upload it. And when people video blog, they'll spend, like your site visitors will spend a lot more time on your site. So it's something I haven't personally done that much, but I definitely recommend it, and I think I should do it more. If you want people to stay on your site more, definitely get a flip and do a video blog.
A couple of things I wanted to add. You don't necessarily have to have a blog of your own. You can offer to do guest blogs for other people. If you're just getting into this and you just have your own site, or maybe you don't even have your own site, but you've got some expertise you want to share, pair up with some people that already have sites that talk about what you talk about, and offer to write an article for them, offer to write a blog post. There's other locations you can write and submit it to. There's a couple, is it Blogger Matchup?
Blogger Link Up?
Blogger Link Up. You can submit in there that you have articles you want to share, and you can say whether it's open for anyone or if it's a one-time use for a single person. Something that I personally do is I'm also a programmer, so I write a lot of code for things, and I share it with other people that are in the art industry that aren't coders. But by doing that, I'm sharing my expertise on using code to market your art. I also go to a lot of mailing groups. I've got a Yahoo group that I'm on that all of them are talking about art and how they create it and where they sell it, and I'm talking about how to use affiliate marketing and social media to market art. So I'm bringing that into that group as well. So it doesn't always have to be on your own property. You can take it out into other areas and just get to know people and share what you know that direction.
One last thing I want to say is Jen started a group on Facebook that's called Tuesday Topic. It's like for bloggers. So if you feel like you're not blogging enough or you want ideas, I joined that group, and that definitely had me blogging a lot more. And then I would think about it every Tuesday, like, oh, maybe I should post something. And everybody, what I love about it is that there's so many different people in the group, and you get to see the same topic, but all these different ideas on the same topic. So I really enjoy doing that and blogging kind of with other people.
Right, and then what's going to help you get noticed there is all the people in the group are probably also on Twitter, and then they're going to comment on it, and then they're going to Twitter about your post, which just broadens your reach.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about face-to-face network, but for me, this is really one of the most important things, because I think that meeting people is a big deal. And when Trisha Lynn said, be yourself, it's really going to come through if you have a certain persona online, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or in the forums, and then we come here and I meet you and I think, wow, that person is nothing like what I thought they were going to be at all. And that's kind of like a weird disconnect. So the face-to-face networking, and I know each of you guys have some strategies for how you handle it. So who wants to jump in?
Face-to-face networking is my absolute favorite. It's completely different. yes, we're all online and we're all friends on Twitter, but when you see each other in real life, it's like I feel like we're at like camp or something. I feel like I'm with all my friends, and it's so I know, but it's so great because you really do connect with people, and you can find friends that you'll have forever. And like up there, you'll see me in a bunch of pictures with people because I always like people that I. Why are you laughing? You're up there. People that I really look up to, I'll like go to them and then I'll be like, let's take a picture, and I put all my pictures with people like right on my blog, and I always tell them it's for the blog, and I just go and I take pictures with like everybody.
And guess what? People are somewhat vain, so if she takes a picture with someone important and then sends a link saying, hey, I posted a picture of you and wrote about you in my blog, chances are that person has a blog or is on Twitter, and then they're going to say, oh, hey, look at me. You know, I was in this person's blog, so it's going to just keep going around.
Right.
So that's a very smart strategy.
I definitely enjoy it, and I do like seeing all my pictures up there. And I have a picture. I want to say my favorite is Gary Vee. He's actually my favorite person that leaves like a great impression, and this guy must work like at all crazy hours, and I've met him a few times, and every time I meet him, he is always like very enthusiastic.
He
And
remembers
the first
your
time
name.
I heard him speak was before he was like famous, and he was at Affiliate Summit. He was on a panel.
The video panel?
He could, huh?
The video
yeah,
panel?
the video panel. I didn't know who he was, but after that panel, I was like, who is this guy? Because he's just like that. And so, yeah, I definitely only take pictures with people like Gary, homie.
That sounded nice.
I'll add to this how since this is really my thing. I think if you're an affiliate, it's most likely that you're working alone because it's kind of a loner.
It's lonely.
Yeah, it's not lonely, but you do take a very there's a cowboy entrepreneur approach to this where you're probably by yourself or you got a couple of freelancers working for you, and it's good to see people, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It's good to come to these, especially Affiliate Summit, because you have, I think the best people in the industry are here. You'll see them at the expo, just walking around, get to know them, share more ideas, and it can really help your business rather than just staying at home all the time and on your laptop.
But this is not the only opportunity, though. You have to remember that there are a lot of local organizations. Right. Like if you're in the Bay Area and you're an affiliate manager, there's the Bay Area Affiliate Managers Coalition.
You can find a lot of people on meetup.com.
Meetup.com.
Go to meetup.com and look for your topics for your business, not just marketing. If you're affiliate marketing shoes, look for people that are into apparel. Look for people that are into just a variety of areas, because then you'll find people that are meeting, once a month or once a week that are right there.
Yeah,
I can see more often.
I forgot to mention that because I remember when I left Affiliate Summit and all my affiliate marketing friends, and I got home, I was like, how sad. Nobody understands. My sister thinks that my iPhone is like my boyfriend. I'm like, no, I'm really doing something on here. People will always say like your family or your friends, they think you're just playing on your computer. They don't understand what you're doing. And locally there are a lot of opportunities, and thankfully I found people like that. There's definitely, I joined a meetup for WordPress and I had no idea about things. They helped me with a lot. There's also like local tech meetups that you can just look up online. I was in a social media club, and I was in another club called Refresh Miami, and they're all techie people just like that. Just because they might not understand affiliate marketing, you can explain it to them, but they'll be interested in it, and when you explain it, they'll understand what you're saying. So it's just awesome. Definitely get involved locally as well.
It's always refreshing to tell somebody, well, it's a cookie, and they understand. But there's also tweet ups, and I hate that term, but there's a lot of opportunity for connecting with people that are local on Twitter. If you just go to the Twitter search and type in your city name, you'll find people that are local. I know of another marketer that's in Albuquerque and goes to Webuquerque meetings all the time that he found through Twitter. So there's a lot of using that social networking to find those face-to-face meetup opportunities too. So whatever is your strong point, if your strong point, like Mike, is face-to-face networking, then use these online tools to find face-to-face groups. If your strong point is using the online networking, like mine, use that, and then it will definitely ease the social anxiety of meeting people face-to-face.
Yeah, right.
Because, you know, when I came to Summit in Boston, I had used social networking to get to know all these people that when you meet them for the first time face to face, it's not a handshake, it's a hug.
Yeah.
So
It opens the door.
it
for sure.
definitely opens the door. And like I said, if you're a little about face to face, a little anxiety, definitely eases that.
Okay, well now all of you each have sort of a different personal branding style, but it really is important to create sort of this consistent, memorable, unique representation, and there are a lot of ways to do it. So Jen, why don't you start and tell us how you do it?
This is the area that I'm most comfortable in. It's really important that if you're going to get online and you're going to start marketing your business, your brand, yourself, whatever it is, wherever you go, be consistent. Absolutely be consistent. So if you meet someone, say you meet someone today and you hand them your business card and it doesn't have all of your contact information, if they Google you or they look in one area and then they find you somewhere else, they shouldn't have any question knowing you're the same person. If you've got a different picture on Facebook and a different picture on LinkedIn, and then you're on Twitter under a different name, people aren't going to do their homework to connect you. You need to do that for them.
Yeah.
Because your job is just to get the message out. Don't make their job figuring out who you are to read your message. They're not going to do that work. They're going to go somewhere else that they're more comfortable, and then you will have lost a contact.
Yeah.
Do it the easiest way with the online areas is your logo or your icon that you use. If you've got a Twitter account and a company with a logo, use that. If you want to have the more personal approach and you're branding yourself, use your face. I use the penguin everywhere because that's how people know me. And also, I don't have a lot of good pictures that I like.
No, that's
So
true.
I use that as it's very recognizable. It's on my business card, it's on my Facebook, it's everywhere. And then when people see my business card, they might not remember the name, but they see that and then they go, oh, you're Jen, and then it goes from there.
Yeah.
That's kind of how sometimes you might find yourself branding yourself by accident. So, you know, you said you don't have a lot of good pictures that you like.
Right.
That's exactly how that picture is on everything for me, because that's the only picture that I like. Even though I've been told it looks goth, which was not at all the intention. It just, I like that picture. It turned out well, and so that's what I used. And that's become, you know, a lot of people have associated, oh, I remember your picture from Twitter. Okay, I remember you now, like, from the picture. So that's really important too. If you don't have a logo that's real consistent, or if you're working, you know, like Mike, if you're working on a lot of different projects that, you know, maybe you have a lot of logos to choose from kind of thing, a picture is the most sincere way to represent yourself everywhere, but be consistent with that picture. I mean, once you've gotten that kind of recognition, you can, you know, mix it up a little bit, but, you know, that's important to pick something that you're comfortable with representing yourself, because you don't want to have to, you know, get a year into it and say, you know what, I don't like this anymore. I'm going to change everything, because that might confuse some people. Mike.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to me. I mean, I changed everything over. I had a company which the idea was I wanted to build my affiliate company out, build it, and then be able to walk away from it, and it still goes. But what happened was, I guess I did such a great job of meeting people and all that. People recognized me rather than the company, and they always said, you know, let's talk to Mike and not the company name. So I said, the heck with this, and I just got rid of the old brand, and I'm just recently now Mike. So.
Yeah.
Which that kind of leads into the whole personal branding craze that's going on. There's a lot of talk from a lot of angles on personal branding right now and how important it is, and everyone needs to do a personal brand. I disagree. I think you need to take a look at what your business is and what you're doing. If you're a consultant, absolutely you need a personal brand because you are the business. If you're selling a product and you're doing it for another company, it might not necessarily be that company's brand, but you need to find some continuity between what you're selling and providing and what you're talking about and who you are. So you really need to take a look at what are you presenting. Wow, I got really loud. What are you presenting and how are you presenting it? And then figure out the branding from there. But don't just jump on the personal branding bandwagon because that's what people are saying to do. There still can be some confusion in there as well.
I used to change my Facebook picture religiously. I no longer do that. Now, I do stay very consistent with my picture, and I just chopped my hair, so I think I'm going to change it again. But I've changed ever since I started like branding like my face, I guess. I've changed it only twice. And when you do that, you have to do it across the board. I mean, you know, if you have a little avatar when you're posting on a blog somewhere. I did recognize Trisha's avatar everywhere. And she commented on so many blogs, and I would go on the blogs and I would be like, hey, I know this girl from somewhere. And so definitely stay consistent. And if you're going to change one thing, change it across the board. And another thing is really, really think about what name you're going to use. Because I put Steph ARC for Andy Rodriguez Consulting, and that's fine, but everybody was calling me Steph Arc. They were like, Steph Arc, Steph Arc. And I was like, what? That's not my name. So I started like spelling out my name. I know it's a long name, and it's hard to spell, and it's hard to pronounce, but that's who I am. I'm not Steph Arc, I'm Stephanie Lichtenstein. So I definitely, you know, had to think about that later after I realized everybody was calling me that. So when you start branding yourself, really think about something easy to remember and something that you're going to want to stick with, because people might just be calling you that all the time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, really think about it and definitely keep everything across the board consistent.
Well, Trisha Lynn Favre down the end here, we all know her
Yeah.
as Trisha Lynn.
I was thinking
but
about that.
apparently most of her friends and family know her as Trisha.
Yeah.
Lynn is
and
my middle name, but
You got stuck.
I
and
got
you-
stuck. People think
but
it's
that's
my
what
whole
we
name.
all call you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Think about it.
I have to deal with it.
And we put Sean up on the screen up
I took
there.
him off.
That's all right, because
Took Sean off.
I took him. No, I mean I just covered him there.
Sean Collins has done an absolutely fantastic job keeping everything consistent. Everywhere that he is, it's that cartoon,
That cartoon.
head,
Yeah.
and you know it's Sean.
Well, I'm just going to give you guys an opportunity for sort of last thoughts, because we're going to bump up against time, and I know there might be people that have some questions. So why don't we? Any last thoughts on anything?
My final thought is I want to hear questions.
Okay. Well, then let's take some questions. Anybody
And we have stickers.
have anything
Yeah,
they want to ask?
I want the stickers have our Twitters on there, and our Twitters are up there. Definitely take the time to add us and send an. If you want us to say something back to you, send an @reply, and we'll definitely answer any questions if we run out of
Oh
time.
yeah, if you put that back up, our Twitters are on there.
How do I go back?
It's the first
Just press
one.
enter.
Something I want to add is
Enter.
just do it.
No, back.
Don't be
No.
intimidated. Don't
Go to the
be
first
worried
one.
that somebody's going to think the wrong
It's
thing
loading,
or you're
isn't it?
approaching the wrong person. Just if your gut says do it, just do it. Go out and
Yeah.
introduce yourself and
Yeah.
just
No, go
jump
back.
in, because the worst thing that could happen
No,
is
you
you're
want me to go
ignored and they
back.
don't know
I'm
you
gonna go back.
anyways, and they didn't know you 5 minutes ago. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
whatever relationships that you get, leverage them. You know,
Right.
like I said 2 years ago. I mean, you're sitting there now. You know, next year you'll be up here. You know, just meet people and like I said, be yourself. Do it, and leverage them, and be all over social networking. But at the same time, nothing beats a handshake.
right.
Can I just ask where, if there's like a basic learning how to do, I mean, you guys are speaking great right now. And I know a lot of people who do it, and like, I'm in the real estate and we're doing conservation work, and I don't know, but everyone's like, you gotta do this. I'm like, okay, so where would you recommend, like, a
What was recommended, I went to a social summit a while ago. If there's any local events that have to do with social media, that's a good place to start. But even more beginner than that, what they recommended is rather than jumping in and getting all these accounts for yourself, that's where getting involved in the conversation starts. Don't start a blog, start commenting and reading other blogs first and see what they're doing, see how they're doing it, and then you'll kind of develop a preference for what you want to do for your own. Same thing with Twitter. You don't necessarily have to get a Twitter account to read Twitter. You do have one, you have to have one to reply, but just start observing from the
I
beginning.
would say join Twitter. It's very easy. It sounds, I'm sorry, it just sounds more complicated than what you think it is. It's actually the easiest one to use.
Yeah.
Because instead of Facebook, you have to do your profile and all this other mess. Twitter is like very to the point, and that's why I like them. It's short and sweet. If you have a blog post to share, you share it. If you want to reply, you reply. If you don't, you don't. If you know, it's very easy. The main thing is you have 140 characters. You're very limited on space. So you just say what you need to say to the world. Don't tell them what you had for lunch, but
You can tell 'em who
share,
you ate
you
lunch
know,
with.
or you can even ask
good.
questions on Twitter. If I don't know something, if I'm like, the first time I had my iPhone and then I think it like crashed and I was like having a heart attack, I think Mike answered me and was like, to reset it, you do this and this. It's not that hard. Just join and read around for a while, but you can post.
Twitter
And
is
add-
like my IT department.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
that I work at home, I ask all my technical questions on
Yeah.
Twitter, and they're answered immediately.
Right away.
Right.
It's awesome.
They are.
And start adding people at the conference, you know?
I'll follow you back.
Yeah.
Jay?
Hey.
Nice.
You guys have all done a great job building your personal brands. How do you take it to the next level and do some business with them?
Mike.
Mike. Well, what I said before, just more leverage. You know, you get known out there, you get known for what you do. I mean, you've done a great job too. I mean, and everybody. Oh, that's why he's asking me. That might be it right there.
Once you start getting to know people, you'll
Yeah.
get to know what they do. So if you know somebody who's, like Lisa said, Twitter's her technical department. If you know somebody who's very technical, you can leverage that by saying, hey, I have this project, but I'm not so technical. Do you think you might be able to help me? You know, I started a blog about Girl Scout stuff, and I wanted to put little icons on. I reached out to Jen to say, I want, unique little icons. Do you think you could help me or point me to somebody who can? That kind of thing. So
Yeah,
once
referrals.
referrals, right.
Yeah.
So once you know what people do, you can easily reach out to them and ask for their help and offer your help in return.
It's that relationship building.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you've built your brand and people start to know what you do and they know you're sincere and you're willing to give as much as you're taking, they'll reach out also. And when you say, hey, I've got this issue, there will be somebody that steps up and they might not say, hey, I can do it, but they might say, hey, I know someone who can.
Yeah. Simple and to the point. People do business with others that they know and trust and they like.
Right.
So the more you're out there and the more people know you, they are going to get to know you, they're going to trust you, and it just kind of, the rest just follows. It just flows naturally afterwards.
Right there?
Just another quick question. What do you do when you go, I'm another Mike, by the way. What do you do when you spend, like, I've been on Twitter for like a year now, I've got 10,000 followers.
Nice.
Wow.
Got my name, got Mike Wayne and everything, at Mike Wayne. Got the domain, MikeWayne.com. Then Facebook URLs come out, and I have to get Michael Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to talk to Facebook about that.
Yeah,
I had no problem getting my name.
I don't have that much clout. I can't help you there, man.
Offer brownies.
Like, would you recommend like a tiny URL, or like what I did as a workaround is I just put like a subdomain that pointed to the site. But
Yeah.
It's still not the same.
It's not the same.
You know what, Sean and Missy, before the vanity Facebook names came out, they bought like Missy on Facebook, Sean on Facebook.com.
But
Ooh,
you
you
know,
like
I
that?
did that. That's
what it
cool.
really breaks down to is communication. If you've got your own website, you need to put it on there very, very obviously that, this is where you can
Yeah.
find me.
Yeah.
And there's still going to be some confusion. If you were to go, I'm Jay Goody everywhere except for YouTube. And if you go to YouTube, it's Hoochie Mama dancing. And the only way around that is I just have to let people know, or don't use that service. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm
Yeah.
not a YouTuber. But
So your Facebook is Mike Wayne, but you
No,
wanted.
everything is Mike.
Everything is Mike
Except
and his
for
name is
Facebook.
Michael.
Is there a Michael Wayne in your industry? There's no? Well, you might have him there. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Lisa.
And if you have the blog, then you just list, Facebook. They'll just click. They're not,
Right.
Most people.
Here's where you can find me and just have
most
a
people
link.
are not going to like type it in or actually go to Facebook. They'll look for your name, but they're not going to go facebook.com/Michael Wayne or Mike Wayne. They're not going to do that. They'll go to your blog. They might go on Twitter, and then, or they might just search for it on Facebook. But the way that they find me is my link is there. Nobody knows how to spell my name.
right?
It's just my links are there. Nobody, like the way people get to my blog is when I send out a tweet with a blog post, they'll click on it and they'll go to my blog, then save it bookmark it, then you can get to my blog.
People go where you send them. So if you send them all the time to your website and there's just a link, then I don't think you have a whole lot to worry about.
Kind of like phone numbers. How many of you actually know all the phone numbers you call all the time?
Not since the advent of the cell phone.
Links and bookmarks.
Yeah.
Anybody else with a question? We got time for 2 more. Okay.
It all depends on your industry.
All day. No.
Well, I'm on. Sure. Well, Twitter is easy, I think, just because it's so many different ways to post to it. I mean, you have phone apps. I work on my desktop all day, so I use TweetDeck on my PC, which is a fantastic application that filters and sorts all your followers and all the conversations going on. It's just very easy for me to, if something's up or if I'm answering somebody, it's just there on another, either on the screen or on another screen in my case. The phone apps are easy to use.
Yeah. I was posting on Twitter while we were up here, so.
Right.
Well, I think there's probably 2 different types of people. There are people who are doing it all throughout their day, and then there are people who say, I can't really get sucked into this stuff,
Right,
so maybe later tonight I dedicate 3 hours to putting up my blog, answering Facebook messages, responding to @replies, and so I think it's a matter of personal style.
I
would
both.
say-
I actually do both methods. Some days I'll do it all day if I don't have big projects I'm
That's
working
true.
on, and some days I'll start my day with that and end my day. So I might spend half an hour to an hour in the morning and go through everything, and then I'll go in the afternoon and see if there's anybody I need to reply to.
Yeah, I don't set a certain amount of time for doing it. Some days I'll be on Twitter the whole day. Some days I won't go on it for a couple days. I always make sure that I'm checking if anyone is sending a reply to me to make sure to say something back to them. And I always keep the window open while I'm working. So if I see someone say something to me, I'll go really fast and answer, but I'm not going to be sitting there waiting for someone to say something. And if I think of something, that's when I'll go and post it. But it's just, it really depends, but I like to just leave it open, and if someone says something, I interact with them. If I have something useful to say, I'll share it with people, and that's about, blogging to me takes way longer. That takes hours sometimes to post something.
The advice that I've given people that ask me that is that you can definitely, if you're just getting into it and you feel like you need to set aside some time, I would say, start with an hour, and if you feel like it takes more than that, then increase that time. But, especially it's going to take you a little longer to get used to it, to the point where you're doing what, we've mentioned, where it's second nature and you're multitasking while you're doing other things. So if that's what you need to do, just start, select, say, hey, I have an hour of my time to do it. And, you can only devote an hour a day to it. That's fine. You're going to get what you put into it. So the more time you spend on it, the more you're going to get back. But if that's, not practical for your business to spend a lot of time on it, then you can use it just for what it's good for at first. And then build that as you get more comfortable using it.
Something I think that needs to be added to all of this is don't expect overnight results. Don't jump in and do it for a week or even a month and expect that it's going to be this great, huge set of results. It's a long process. It's kind of like dating. You've really got to work it for a while and watch how it reacts to what you're doing and what happens with all of it, and just kind of make adjustments as you go. Work it.
I would also add that you should set up Google alerts for everything you're interested in, as well as your own name.
That's very important.
I have a Google alert for my Twitter name, for my regular name. I have about 20 different topic areas that I'm interested in, and I get a summary email every day, and I look through that.
To see if people are blogging about you and talking about you without you really knowing it, and you can then turn around and thank them and get involved in that.
You can also use tweetlater.com to set up Twitter search alerts. So if you just plug in, like the keyword Girl Scouts, and you can get a daily digest of posts that mention Girl Scouts in it. And that's a good way too. If you are the kind of person that wants to set aside a few hours in the evening to do your social media stuff, you can just check that at the end of the day and look through and say, oh, this person asked about Girl Scouting in this area, or they asked about, what the best kind of leash for a Yorkshire Terrier is. And you can, go ahead and answer those people. Like we were saying before, that's a good way to get involved without having to spend a whole lot of time all day doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
we are actually
We're out of time.
completely out of time. We're a
Okay.
little over time. So I think all of these great folks will be available.
Thank you.
And you can catch them in the hallway if you want to. Thanks for coming.
And we have
And we have-
stickers.
Yeah,
Yes,
come
we
get
have
stickers.
for
If you
everyone.
leave
Put them on your
business card-
laptop.